So welcome back to the SoCal Business and Basketball Report. This is Ray Dietz dropping in here in the summer. I mentioned at the close of last season we would drop in the summer and keep you updated on happenings here in Southern California. So the way we'll organize it, we'll talk a little bit about the neighborhood, the business environment. We're down here today at the Drew League, which is in between the Compton and Watts area. Some good basketball action here, but we'll talk a little bit about the business environment here. We'll touch on the high school scene here in Southern California, talk about some of the action today, and then close with the national economy. So the area we're at today, we're at the Drew Magnet School behind me, okay, is where they host the Drew League each year. And there's some guys that are older guys trying to sharpen their game, some young up-and-comers that are guys like Max Agabon-Polo, who graduated last year from Santa Margarita, will be at USC this year. Guys like Lamelo Ball, who looks like he's going to play overseas this next year, which would traditionally be his senior year in a American high school. But he has a unique case himself, and these are some of the guys that are playing down here amongst others. So when I think of this area, the Drew High School, I think of the Drew Medical School, of course, Charles R. Drew Medical School and Science, and then also the hospital was here. It was traditionally run by the county, and that hospital did close, and then a nonprofit took its place on the same grounds, and that hospital is directly across the street from me. You can see across the street, beautiful facility, and so they moved to that nonprofit format so that they can make quicker decisions on hiring, for example, instead of going through the county system, there was a lot of red tape. And the old hospital did have kind of a bad reputation. There were cases where maybe someone was given the wrong drug, unneeded deaths that occurred, and there were different problems. I had one experience that I can think of where helped a guy in the Glendale area that owns a small business, and he paid for the group health insurance for all his employees, and had a guy that lived in the area here, and that employee's wife was pregnant, and she went into the emergency room to give birth at the old MLK County Hospital, and no one ever collected their health insurance card. So you could see where if you're not collecting payment for something like a child's birth, the hospital's eventually obviously going to have some financial problems. They also had accreditation problems. People in the area may have defended the hospital for a while, but it was clear some things needed to change, and I think it's going to help the whole community. The old hospital had just over 200 beds. Today it's in the 130, 133 range in terms of beds. They've moved from not doing as much trauma, but more preventative care, and they refer people out to other facilities in the area here. And they even have a farmer's market on campus here, similar to the farmer's market that would be at the Kaiser facility near the west side at La Cienega, to promote healthy living. So that's the idea of what's happening here. The CEO, Elaine Batchelor, she's a Harvard graduate, and the new hospital here did open. It was around 2015, although it was in the works prior to that. Obviously, a lot was done in 2014, but she's a Harvard grad. She went to medical school at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, and she went to UCLA for her residency, the Harbor Hospital, and so she has good experience, and I think it's a positive for the whole area. You have, in California, there's 58 counties, 15 of which have county-run hospitals. So the trend is away from that, and this nonprofit format just cuts a lot of the red tape to help them get to quicker decisions. There's no trauma center here. People would go downtown to the California Hospital Medical Center. That'd be about a 10 to 25 minute drive. The areas that are served would be Compton, Watts, Gardena. Though Gardena, you're starting to get a little bit no man's land where people may go to Torrance, to the hospitals there, the little Company of Mary. Torrance Memorial does a lot of heart work there as well. So that's kind of the scene right here. Other action here in Compton, and the population in Compton is about 100,000. And we're not right on the coast, we're inland a little bit, but the San Pedro, which is referred to as the Los Angeles port, and then Long Beach ports are not too far, and those two ports compete head to head, two of the largest ports in the country and the world for that matter. And years ago they came together and created what is referred to as the Alameda Corridor. So it's just off the ports, a train line that actually runs right through here, and it goes to downtown LA, and then from LA the train line goes out to the Inland Empire, Ontario, Rancho Cucamonga, in that area, and that's where the large warehouses are. But there's a number of warehouses in this area as well. They haven't had to have quite the technology that maybe is out in Ontario, because there's such a demand here. So that with that Alameda Corridor, you have, there's quite a bit of industrial activity. Ralph's, Food for Less, Gelson's Markets, they have their headquarters here in the Compton area. So that's helped this community quite a bit. Now in terms of basketball, UCLA's Aaron Aflalo is from the Compton area, Compton Centennial High School. Cedric Ceballos, Tyson Chandler from the Compton area. Tyson played at Compton Dominguez. Baron Davis is from the Compton area, though he played at Crossroads in Santa Monica. Marcus Johnson, the legend in the NBA with the Milwaukee Bucks, an announcer. He's from the area. And the football player, Richard Sherman, the defensive back in the NFL, he's from the area. Some of the rappers from the area would be Coolio, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, NWA. And I'd also mention Rod Palmer, the assistant coach at UCLA. He's from the area here. He played at Compton Dominguez, he coached at Compton, he coached at Compton Centennial before he went on to the college ranks. So they have good connections here in the area. Now in terms of the high school scene, we'll shift and talk about what's going on. Of course, Sierra Canyon has made headlines this summer. They lost quite a bit, but they're reloading. Coming back this next year, Harold Yu, the junior 7-footer from China, kind of did his apprenticeship last year behind Christian Coloco, and so Harold will be out there this year. Looks like Zaire Williams, the upcoming senior, is transferring in from Sherman Oaks and Notre Dame. He dunks the ball as hard as anybody on the West Coast, and I kind of expect him to break a backboard at some point in his career. Taryn Frank will be a senior. He's back at Sierra Canyon, top 50 player. He's improving his range. Amari Bailey is back as a sophomore, one of the top shooting guards in the country. It looks like BJ Boston, a Kentucky commit, is transferring in from the New England area. We have, it's been widely publicized, freshman Bronny James looks like he's moving over from the 8th grade program at Crossroads to come over here to Sierra Canyon. And then Tukey Wigginton, I'd mention him, he's a guard. They have some other guards that could get some action. And just this weekend here, Shai Odom, ranked 22nd in his class of 2022. He'll be a sophomore. He's a shooting guard. So they're getting a lot of interchangeable guys that can switch on defense. And on paper, they looked tremendous. maybe don't have that pure point guard, but that was kind of the case last year. And they overpowered people. Cassius Stanley hit a lot of shots, and so they were able to run away with it last year. As I mentioned, the loss of Scottie Pippen went to Vanderbilt, Cassius Stanley to Duke. KJ Martin initially committed to Vanderbilt, but he went pro instead, and Christian Coloco on to Arizona. So who could beat them? Well, I think it would be a team that would have a point guard and would be really well coached. And so Mater Dei could possibly fit into that role. Devin Askew, who's going to be a junior this year, and most of you know, I think he's been the best point guard in Southern California since the day after his freshman year ended. So that summer, he looked like the best point guard in SoCal to me. Breidenbach is back. Harrison Hornery, who will be a junior. He initially, after his freshman year, I thought he would be a little better than an Ivy League player, maybe like a Mountain West, and he's emerging. It looks like there's some Power 5 interest. You don't see a lot of 6'9" guys with the touch he has, so he's playing really well this summer. Evans, their small shooting guard who hits big shots at big moments. He's been hurt this summer, but he'll be back, and they have other bigs. Etiwanda's team you got to mention, Jemai Mashik will be back this year as a junior. He did have a stress reaction in his foot this summer. He's wearing a boot, but he should be healthy for the season. And it sounds like Jalen Clark, there's some talk that he may transfer into Etiwanda from Corona Centennial. It's not clear yet, but they have other guards as well, as Etiwanda always does. Taft has Demetrius Caleb back. I saw him earlier this summer. He looked better than I've seen him in 12 months, and he's getting up there, throwing it down nicely, hitting some shots. Fairfax should be very interesting this year with Dior Johnson coming in. Justin Gladney will be a senior point guard. Keith Dinwiddie, strong shooting guard who's getting a lot of major college interest, going to the basket hard, and hits the three. Rolling Hills Prep, I think, is going to have a very good team. I'm not saying that they would challenge Sierra Canyon, but Rolling Hills Prep, if they're at the small school division, I think could challenge for a state championship. And Benny Geeler, he's scored well heading into his freshman year this summer as well. They beat Fairfax earlier this summer, and Gladney was guarding him, but Geeler still managed to put up a lot of points. And Von Flowers is a guy that I've liked, and he looks stronger. He's jumping even higher than he did last year as a junior, so expect good things from him. Damien could be real strong. I thought they were coming last year, and I think they're coming again this year. Malik Thomas could blow up and be at the top in Southern California. We'll see how his year goes. R.J. Smith, not to be confused with J.R. Smith, but he was a freshman last year and has a little bit of a unique form on his shot, and he can hit it. He's a big freshman, and he could really take a big step this year as a sophomore. Got to mention University High School and their guy David Cheatham, about a 6'3" player. For them, he's got to play inside some. I think they could challenge to win the city this year. They're very good, and they're older as well. They've got seniors, so look for them to possibly win the city. Westchester's going to be Westchester. Fairfax is there, and over at Westchester, not real clear. Coach Azam, who's in the Hall of Fame in the city section. I was at his induction when he also had Keyshawn Johnson inducted, but Coach Azam may be back, may retire. But they have Kamani Pollard back, and Kamani's a guy that I like a lot. He may be 6'1", 6'2", and I saw them last year when they beat Rancho Christian, who had some of the best players in the country, and Westchester was just a lot more physical than Rancho Christian last year. And they really gave Sierra Canyon their best game in the run to the state championship that Sierra Canyon had. So Kamani, I would say, Coach Wooden, his quote, perform at your best when your best is required, and Kamani certainly does that and did that last year. So watch him this year. Also, I want to mention Kadeem Allen, the the big man at Westchester, he graduated. He's on to East LA Junior College. Mayfair is going to be strong again with Joshua Christopher and Michael Afogbu. They've got the athletes, and we'll see how far they can go this year. Bishop Montgomery with Bradley Ezewiro and others. They're going to be physical. They're going to be tough defensively. Bradley, he has offers from LSU and Tennessee right now, two physical teams. And I've got to mention Peyton Watson from Long Beach Poly. Now, the Jackrabbits have been down for a while, but look for them to come firing back. And Peyton's a guy, just got to keep his nose to the grindstone. He's only a junior, and so he has a great upside. He played well at the Fairfax tournament. He does these lean-in dunks. He hits the three. He plays defense. And, you know, I got to quote John Wooden again. So if someone's out there, tell Peyton that you can't let praise or criticism get to you. It's a weakness to get caught up in either one. So ignore all that. Just keep doing what you do. And he looks like he's got a nice future. Up north, Sacramento Sheldon, of course, Marcus Bagley. He's committed to Arizona State now. Xavion Brown, saw him this summer, physical guard. He can slap some defense on anyone. I'd like to see him guard, say, a Benny Geeler at some point and see, you know, how Benny, because it's hard to gauge how good Benny Geeler is over there at Rolling Hills Prep. He scores against everyone I've seen so far. So I'd like to see them play some of these upper echelon teams as well. And Marquise Hargrove. This is a guy up at Sheldon that was injured some last year. Maybe he was forcing it a little bit when he was coming back in, of course. He wants to do well, but this is a kid that could blow up this year. I like him a lot. Down south of here, you got to keep your eye on Mikey Williams at Ysidro as well. So out here at the Drew League, of course, Lamelo Ball, he's been playing here. You got Max Agbonkpolo, who's from Santa Margarita, heading to USC, has as much upside as anyone in Southern California. He's got a couple of good players that were rated actually higher than him going to USC, but I think Max could do real well. Onyeka Kongwu's been down here. A couple other guys I'd mention from the Detroit Pistons, Christian Woods from Black Pearl Elite, team that plays here at the Drew League, and Franklin Sessions from Public Enemy. Played in Qatar last year. He's also playing in the Big Three, some that people see on TV. So that, you know, that's kind of the scene down here at the Drew League, and you see all kinds of people down here. By the way, I want to mention Alan Crabb, the shooting guard, who's now of the Atlanta Hawks, and from Price High School here in LA. He's actually going to be holding a free camp this week for 9 to 15-year-olds, August 6th and 7th. You sign up for that at www.procamps.com/Alan Crabb, C-R-A-B-B-E. And he's a guy that when he was a kid, he played in the Westchester YMCA, and they've had a lot of success stories coming out of that program. David Singleton at UCLA is played in that program when he was younger. Spencer Dinwiddie played in that program. So that's been a good youth league to watch. And my son actually plays in that now. Finally, I want to take a look at the economy, and you know, it's time to be a little cautious. I'm talking to the national economy, and I'm not allowed to give you direct investment advice here. I have to talk to people individually on that, but I'd be a little cautious. And down in the garment district in LA, I'll give you an example. A year ago, 2018, you know, in the summer months, you see, say, a salesman at some of these garment companies might be around 250,000 sales in a month, and this year I've heard some stories where maybe a same guy might be under $100,000 in sales. So that's less than half in sales over the last 12 months for a given month. And you know, of course, people are worried about tariffs, what's to come, and I'm not going to comment on that, but I'd take some caution heading into the fall, into the winter. And If you need any advice or just want to talk about your taxes, investment, or your health insurance, Medicare heading into the fall, please contact me. So that's about it right now for the summer check-in. We'll see you again this upcoming basketball season. We'll be in all the different neighborhoods again this winter, and we'll keep you abreast at who's developing. There's a lot of people I didn't mention today. Up at Valencia, they've got some older guys that look pretty good, and so there's a lot that can happen, and I'm always looking forward to the guys that surprise me as we hit the season after you see the work that they put in the summertime. So have a great remainder of the summer, and we'll see you during the basketball season.